Are you suffering from the illusion of competence? If you spend hours reading a book but you can't seem to remember anything that you read by the next day? Or if you write pages of notes but you still don't do well on that exam? Or if you highlight all the lines on your textbook but you still feel like you haven't learned anything? That means that you might be suffering from the illusion of competence. But don't worry, we've all been guilty of doing that at one point or another. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 practical ways to overcome the illusion of competence with active, atomic, and connected smart notes that will help you to become a power learner and remember everything that you learned. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Karina. Welcome to my channel, where I share study hacks, productivity tips, and practical frameworks to help you to elevate your life through education. So the illusion of competence is when we think that we understand something, but when it comes down to it, we don't really know it as well as we thought we did. This is a very common problem, especially when it comes to learning something new. And the illusion of competence happens when we spend hours reading, watching lectures, and highlighting notes for long hours in ways that gives us the illusion that we're learning so much, when in reality, we're just spending hours looking like we're busy while our brain was just like whining around, thinking about what you're gonna have for lunch. And if that sounds like you, here's how you're going to eliminate the illusion of competence from your life with smart notes. But before we start, what are even smart notes? So smart notes are active ways of learning. So you're not just passively consuming the content. Instead, you're gonna be using smart notes to process and restructure everything that you learn on your own words. So your brain can process the information you're learning in the way that works best for you to retain it. So for example, let's say you're reading a book on leadership. Instead of just copying down the author's definition of leadership from the book word for word, you're gonna write down your own definition based on what you learned from the book on your own words. And if you don't already have a go-to system to help you to make smart notes, here are 3 easy ways to get started. The first framework is called QUC. And the QUC method was created by Cal Newport, the author of Deep Work. And the QEC stands for question, evidence, and conclusion. And how to use the QEC method effectively? From now on, every time that you want to learn something new, you're gonna go through any content looking for 3 very specific things. Number 1, what questions the content is trying to answer. Number 2, what are the evidences? And number 3, what are the conclusions? That means that it doesn't really matter in what order you consume the content, you're always gonna have a systematic way to extract the most relevant information from the book and link them together in ways that make sense to you. This method is particularly useful for argumentative subjects such as philosophy, history, and literature, as well as for drafting essays. And Cal Newport suggests himself to put a dot next to every conclusions and a dash next to every evidence. So when you review your notes, you can easily see and think about which questions those ideas are trying to answer. And just like a puzzle, you can start linking your questions to the evidences and conclusions you learned from the material together. The method number 2, but you're not stopping there, because this is not the time for you to fall prey to your old ineffective learning methods, like writing long notes in your notebook in an essay-like format. You're gonna turn your findings into bite-sized notes, and that means no more than 3 sentences per note. And instead of using linear thinking of A, then B, then C, what you're probably most used to doing from your day-to-day life, you're actually going to start creating standalone flashcards with each new idea you learn, so your ideas are not attached to any one sequence in particular. So you don't limit your thinking to any specific order, and you can start using your brain's full capacity to think outside of the box. This concise notes allows you to make your ideas come to life, so you have more freedom to think in more dimensions that is not just from the top to the bottom, like in an essay, but from left to right, from right to left, from down up, and making connections between different ideas and concepts helps you to see the bigger picture and understand how everything fits together. Just like turning a 2D drawing into a 3D Lego masterpiece, with more dimensions that you can rearrange and create new learnings every time using the same pieces of information and making the most out of your study time. And lastly, to make it stick, you're going to connect the ideas you have just learned to existing ideas that you already know. And it can be anything. You can go in all possible directions, just like in a mind map. For example, you can link what you just learned to something that is similar, have the same origin, or is an extension to something that you have already learned, or is the complete opposite? Whatever helps you to make what you just learned more memorable. And the more absurd those connections are, the easier it's going to be for you to remember them. For example, when studying the English philosopher Francis Bacon, you can associate his name to the image of Pope Francis eating bacon to remember the name Francis Bacon, for example. Now, here's how you're going to apply all those 3 strategies in your study routine to make the most out of it. You're gonna start implementing the QEC method in your next study session by identifying the questions, evidences, and conclusions to deepen your understanding. Then you're going to be creating bite-sized flashcards for each concept that you encounter. And you're gonna challenge yourself to connect those ideas in all ways imaginable. And finally, you're gonna actively link all those new informations to something that you already know. And here you have the freedom to get creative with your associations to make the learning more memorable and engaging. And by incorporating these actionable, smart noting-taking strategies into your learning process, you're not only going to overcome this illusion of competence, but you're also going to be able to elevate your learning experience by making it more fun. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more educational content and study tips. If you use any other study hacks to help you to learn more effectively, let me know in the comments. I love learning more ways where I can be more effective in my studies, and your ideas might help someone else too. So let me know. And if you'd like to supercharge your learning and earning potential with a degree from a top university, you can check out the resources I have available on this video description. And don't forget that the more you learn, the more you can achieve. So stay inspired, stay motivated, and I'll see you in the next video.